Hello and welcome to The Mind Works with Craig. If you haven't guessed already, I'm Craig. I wanted to take some time now to explain a bit more about the app and the course and the content so that you get a real good understanding of what it is I'm trying to achieve with The Mind Works with Craig. This is a summary of all that I've learned professionally and personally in order to help me to understand myself, my own anxiety, my own experience and journey through that. What causes me to be motivated, what might be going on for me when I'm procrastinating, why sometimes I feel tired and burnt out beyond normal tiredness, and then a course that I really do think is the most comprehensive and complete guide on all of the different aspects of our anxiety and mental health more broadly. There's some videos already that I've created to go through the individual sections of that longer course, but I'll take some time now to go through it in a bit more detail. So I am a clinical therapist by trade and work one-to-one with clients, and I don't expect this course to be a replacement for one-to-one therapy, and that this is really for educational purposes. I really do think that part of therapy and recovery from mental health challenges is an understanding, a psychological education as to what is actually going on in mind, brain and body. And hopefully this course fills that gap. Also very much aware that it's a very challenging financial climate for a lot of people, and the cost of one-to-one therapy may be prohibitive for lots of people. So hopefully we can develop a range of tools together, working collaboratively. You tell me what you need and provide me feedback on what it is that I've produced. And we can work together in this new way in a cost which I hope will be within reach of most people. So here it is, The Mind Works with Craig. It's something that I'm incredibly proud of. A lot of work has gone into it for me, both personally to understand myself and also professionally and academically, for want of a better word. And yeah, I'm now putting it out there into the world. Part of my journey in understanding my own mental health, this is it. Putting myself out there to show different aspects of what I've gone through in order to get to this stage, and using that in perhaps a different way to help others. So, first off, free stuff. There will be a range of tools that I use every day in order to improve my own mental and physiological health that I'll make available permanently and for free via the app, because why wouldn't I? These are basic things that I think that not many people know about, that we all should be doing, and that they do make a dramatic, although incremental difference to my overall well-being, and I hope that they'll do so for you too. And go over to the app now and go to the free stuff section and you can find those there. My gift to you and to the universe. You're most welcome. Enjoy. Then we've got the four main areas of the MindWorks course. This is part of the premium content if you want. There is an 8-part course on understanding anxiety. I believe that in order to change something, so if you're experiencing anxiety in this example, then you've got to understand it. And in order to understand it, we've got to start from where we are, and that is to look at what is actually going on. And this course is the 6 most common psychological thought processes that I see in myself and in others that cause the anxiety presentation to come up to the surface, to manifest. So I'll take you through each of those individual 6 psychological processes that are going on, and we'll talk about why our brain works in that way. It can feel sometimes that anxiety is really working against us, but in fact what it's trying to do is protect us. So go through that in quite some detail so you get a real good understanding of my approach, some different psychological theories, different psychological models. It goes a little bit philosophical at times, and it is essentially a boiled down version of the therapy journey that I would go on with a client in a one-to-one basis. So there's 6 psychological processes, and then there are 2 things that I think everybody can do for themselves in order to improve their experience of anxiety, and I'll go through those in the final 2 parts. The next thing is motivation and procrastination. In producing this course, which I started, the first incarnation of this was in May 2020 during lockdown. That didn't get off the ground because I was, for various different reasons. I started again last year, and that didn't get off the ground for various different reasons, and now we're finally here. So I had to look very carefully at my own motivation, my own procrastination, the psychological barriers that were stopping me doing something that I knew how to do already. And the upshot of that is going right back to the drawing board and looking at what motivates us as human beings, why we do certain things and why we don't do certain things, even though that we know that they're in our long-term best interest. This really encapsulates the work that I've done. The bulk of my work in terms of my clinical hypnotherapy practice has been around food addiction, weight management, self-sabotage in terms of diet and food, those issues. So it really encapsulates that work as well. So to understand what motivates us and why we procrastinate, and the different elements of that. Now, when we hear the word motivation, when we hear the word procrastination, we all are expecting to be motivated all of the time, to be productive all of the time, to have energy all of the time, to not procrastinate, to not want to sit on our backsides and scroll through our phones. But the science and the psychology and the neurobiology of all of that stuff is very, very much different to what we are told on social media about how we should feel energized and motivated and enjoy doing difficult things. So in that course, I really do turn most things that I understood about my own motivation upside down, and I'm sure it will do the same for you. There is a motivation short course available in the free stuff section, or that's coming soon, and that will give you some of the headlines of that stuff, of why some of the things that we're told, the received wisdom about motivation is utter nonsense. So if you are struggling with motivation, can't figure out why you're not doing the things that you know you should be doing, why you struggle, why it feels like there's a brick wall in terms of you getting to where you want to be, then I really would suggest starting with that course. However, before we get there, the reason that I was procrastinating or that I was struggling with motivation really had nothing to do with motivation or procrastination. I was highly motivated to get this course done and to develop my career and to develop my practice, but was really struggling with what I was diagnosing, if you want, myself as procrastination. What was actually going on was that I was completely burnt out and experiencing fatigue. Now, burnout and fatigue are not the same as having a bad day and feeling tired. They are physiological processes that are recognised by the World Health Organization, by the NHS for their staff, and it is something that doesn't really go away on its own. Now there is a psychological component to that, there is a physiological component to that, there is an environmental and relationship part of that, and it is, in my view, a complete kind of science in itself. Now in the last 7, 8, 10 years, there has been some really exciting research in terms of why we may be experiencing extreme fatigue, tiredness that doesn't go away on its own through sleep and rest, and the link to stress and how our body is actually working at a subcellular level. And this really encapsulates the work that I've done with individuals that experience the chronic pain condition fibromyalgia, as there is a very strong link to all of that research about burnout and fatigue, and for those people that live with fibromyalgia. So that is coming, that course, really excited about that one. It's a much more in-depth, it's a bit more sciencey. That is taking a little bit longer to finalise. That'll be with you towards the end of the month. But there is some free stuff coming week after next on the summary of that science that's been done about how our body is actually using energy, and why for some of us it's not doing that in a very efficient way, and we feel tired and a bit rubbish all the time. And then we have this big course which will unfold and kind of unfurl week by week over the next year or so, which I call the Mindworks with me, and it's my complete psychological and personal development toolkit. I've gone through everything that I've learned used, practiced for my own mental health, and summarised all the things that work for me and all the things that didn't work for me, but I've included them anyway, so they may work for you, and try to structure it in a way where you have access to pretty much everything that I've been able to find over my 10-15 years of trying to understand my own anxiety in a way that is broken down into different sections that I think make sense and put it together coherently. There's a lot that is said about anxiety in terms of fight or flight response, in terms of serotonin, in terms of genetics, where there's just not really a huge amount of evidence for the fight or flight response is a hangover from caveman times. Well, that may or may not be true. What we're actually dealing with is something that is very, very specific and unique to us as individuals. And my best advice for anybody that is experiencing anxiety is to understand the workings of their mind, their brain and their body in a bit more detail, and a lot more detail, to become their own best medical advocate, their own best doctor, their own best psychologist, their own best therapist. Because nobody will ever know what it's like to experience your unique version of anxiety. Nobody knows what it's like for me. When I sit with somebody in a therapy setting, I don't say to them, I know how you feel, because I don't. I really do believe that it's worthwhile and of value for us all to think about our own experience of anxiety and to deal, to get tools that help us to navigate our way through it. And that is what I hope is included in there. Right, what next? So that's it. That's the course as it is so far. I want it to be a live, two-way conversation. I want feedback. I want to know what works for you, how you want the content presented, things that you want me to prioritise, things that are less important to you. So please do get in touch via the app. The link will be below in the comments. You know the drill. Do join there. Pre-registration is free. It will be free for the month of May, and then at some point in the not too distant future, the premium content will be there for you if you'd like to work with me in that way. I do have one-to-one slots available, so if you want to work with me in a therapy setting in a more traditional way, then please do get in touch via comments, messages, WhatsApp, telepathy, through the universe and the force and all that sort of stuff. Thank you very much for your time, and I do hope to see you on the app. Please do let me know if you've got any questions, thoughts, comments, suggestions, observations and all the usual stuff.